Board of Assessors.
Okay. That's us.
That's you.
So you have all three of your assessors here this evening. And me, Elizabeth Strone, and Marion Scott behind me. So I think Heather has shared, she has it up on the screen. We put together a little bit of a PowerPoint last year just to make it a little easier for everyone to understand the point and process with classification. So every 5 years, if you want to, we can probably skip through the first couple of slides. I don't know if you want to.
I don't know how to do that.
Oh, well, that's okay. You don't have to.
Hold on.
Can you get it? The first couple of slides are basically just posting the date. And so if we want to go to the overview of the revaluation. Oh gosh, it's really, yeah, we can skip through
Look
that.
At this.
So impressive. It's more impressive than I even thought. Yes, of course. So that's just basically sharing that we haven't approved anything yet. All right. So every 5 years, we must do a full recertification. This is not one of those full recertification years. That will not happen until FY27. This is an interim year. But even on those interim years, we still need to be at 100% of fair market value, which actually just yesterday, the DOR approved our values for FY24, so that was very good news. So the next step in this process is to have our select board decide on, they need to have a public tax classification hearing. The purpose of this hearing is to vote on the available tax policies and classification options. So basically, in simpler terms, whether we're going to have a single or a split tax rate, and also talk about residential exemption and small commercial exemption. So the first part, the single or split tax rate, Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 56, allows by vote of the Select Board to tax all classes of property at the same rate by adopting a minimum commercial, industrial, personal property, or CIP factor of 1, or a shift, which would be establishing different rates in the tax burden between property classes. So that would be residential, commercial, industrial, and personal property. The adoption of the different tax rate for the different classes of properties does not change our total levy, but it just simply determines what share each of those classes is going to have of the levy. Historically, Buckland has not had a split tax rate because we have a pretty small percentage of that levy being commercial, industrial, and personal property. Currently, our levy is 84.51% residential, with the remaining 15.4941 commercial and industrial. In last year's fiscal year, only 108 out of 351 communities actually voted to have a split tax rate. So it's not all that common, especially out here for the smaller communities. The other thing we're going to talk about or ask that you vote on tonight is the residential exemption. Currently there's even fewer communities, only 15, that have a high enough percentage of rental property, meaning second home. So like down on the Cape, for example, they have a residential exemption because so many of those properties are second homes, so that for the people who live there year-round, they offer preferential tax treatment for that. So you'll see there's in FY23, there's a pretty small group, most of them are on the Cape, that had adopted this exemption. Again, it doesn't change the total taxable value for the properties, it just shifts the burden off of the residents onto the second homeowners, basically. We wouldn't benefit from this because the majority of our residential properties are owner occupied. We have, Joan had asked the other day, and there's less than a dozen second homes that are of a large enough value to be considered a source of secondary taxation through personal property. Small commercial exemption, this is also another similar to the residential exemption. This is for commercial parcels valued less than $1 million, occupied by a business with average annual employment of no more than 10 people. Every year we get a confidential list from the Division of Unemployment Assistance. This list last year for us, or for FY24, had less than 6 in our town. It again doesn't change the total taxation for commercial, it would just shift that burden onto the, larger properties from the small commercial. Again, there are only 14 communities that actually adopted that last year. It just doesn't apply to these towns like Buckland, but we still have to vote on it every year because I suppose you never know. We may become full of small businesses someday. So therefore, with all that being said, our recommendations as a board is to vote to adopt a single tax rate, to vote no to adopt the residential exemption, and to vote no to adopt the small commercial exemption. Any questions?
Great slideshow.
Why, thank you.
Wonderful job, Marion.
Yes, Marion did a great job.
You guys don't have any other questions for them? No. Okay. I'll move to adopt a single tax rate. I'll move to not adopt the residential exemption and not to adopt the small commercial exemption.
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect.
Didn't make it too hard on you, did we?
Well, you didn't.
Because you did such a wonderful job explaining.
Well, thank you.
It was the slides that did it.
You think so? Okay. So in the past, we used to have,
Slide doer.
Right.
yes, I think the excellent assistance from Heather should not go unnoticed. She's like the Vanna of the slide presentation.
I could do that.
I don't believe I need
We'll
your
put you in for
signatures.
volunteer recognition.
There you go. Perfect. I may potentially, last year we didn't require it, and I forgot to look this year. I think Gateway changed it. It used to be that each of you had to log into Gateway to sign the LA5. I think now it just relies on the clerk to provide certification that the meeting was posted properly and that we just record the vote. If that's different, I'll let you guys know. But otherwise, I think you're,
Well, it's been voted on,
All
so we
set.
can sign it.
if you need
whenever it
to.
needs get
Yeah.
done.
Yep. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I would just like to commend the other two members on our board, because, I mean, I've been here for years, but they are the ones that are up to date, they're doing all the work, and they always, even if I peek in on them, they're always working, they're not wasting their time, and I feel as if we have a nice, I feel as if we have an outstanding assessors board at this time.
I love our board. I think we have an outstanding one as well. And you're a huge part of that too, Marion.
Yes. I mean, Marion has worked as an assessor in this community for how many years now? Over 30, correct?
In the assessing business, I've been here since 1975.
1975. Wow.
You got a solid 25 more years into it then.
I don't think so.
Yes.
So she comes with a lot of knowledge, which is
right.
wonderful.
Yep.
If
No,
I
we're very
know
lucky.
something back years ago, my memory is still pretty good.
It's very good. Yes. So we make a good team. We're lucky.
And that whole time, imagine the change in property values.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not worried about my house for what it is now, yeah.
And what it will be. I'll leave you on that
After
note.
I'm dead and the kids inherit it, right? Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You.
I think she was talking next month later.
Well,
Maybe.
could have a special election replacement then.
Thank you.
There.
Bye, everybody.
They would do a good job.
Sure.
Thank you, and nice to have met you.
Nice to meet you, Mary.
Thanks all.
All right, that's all we have for appointments. Agenda items, we have the special town meeting to review and approve the warrant for posting.
Yes. So we have, I'm going to try to pull that up. I don't know how to get out of. The special town meeting warrant has been reviewed by town council and consists of 5 articles. The first article is the vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to reduce the fiscal year 2024 tax rate. That sounds overly simplified. I'll take just a minute and explain that the transfer will be from free cash that shall be certified hopefully within the next couple of days. Everything has been submitted by the assessors and the accountant. The amount of money that we're seeking to transfer from free cash is $62,000 and some change. And the purpose of the transfer is to offset a deficit from the FY23 budget that we have incurred for snow and ice. And we've talked about this at previous meetings. And that deficit started at about $80,000. And we have worked the numbers to get it to in the low 60s. But because that deficit existed in FY23 and FY23 is no longer accessible to us, we are carrying it on our recap. And that is a jargony way of saying that it's counting as a raise and appropriate, that it's counting as money, as funds that we have to appropriate and pay in our FY24 fiscal cycle. As you know, we did approve an override in the amount of $151,262. So we already know that our tax rate is going to see about a 55-cent increase because of that. If we also carried the $62,000, then that tax rate would go up even more. So because the three of you in the Finance Committee made a very, direct promise to your town meeting voters that it wouldn't go up any more than that 151, what we have to do is offset that 62 with this appropriation from free cash. Again, I know that's a lot of extra jargon, but I think it's important that we're as upfront and as clear about what this actually means. It's a very few words, but it's really accomplishing a lot more, and it's also making it so that you all in the Finance Committee can stay within what you promised your town meeting voters and your and the people that came out to vote for that override. That 151 was the limit, and that this deficit from our snow and ice expenditures does not further impact that. That we do have a plan to offset that with free cash. So that's Article 1. Is there any?
Do we have a rough idea of what we're looking at for free cash? I know it's not certified yet, but.
So it's, for Ted Lasso watchers, it's like using the word the yips. You don't, there are some things that the powers that be, and in this case, the town accountant and the assessor, don't share with the rest of us because it's bad luck. So I do not know what that number is. It isn't like it's certified by DOR that it then becomes even knowledge to me. They get nervous thinking I'm going to go start making plans to spend it all. So I can say I can say with all honesty that this year we will be hit harder because we will have to carry that 62 not only on our recap, but they'll also retain it as an insurance. But that means the following FY25, you'll see that 62,000 come back to you twice. So whatever our 25 free cash is, you can add the 120 to that. So FY25 will be kind of a boom year for free cash. This year will be it'll be narrow. We'll have a skinny free cash figure. Article 2.
But we'll have the total number certified by town meeting, correct?
Yeah, I could even have it tomorrow. I just don't have it today.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
To share. Yeah, we should have it in the next day or two, probably by the end of the week. And that comes to us in an email from DLS. I have shared it in the past, and obviously I'll share it broadly when we get it.
And if I recall, winter road maintenance is the one account you can carry over like this.
Yeah,
it's the only one.
Yeah. There's
almost every town deficit spends
right
out of the snow and ice budget because you can't plan.
Can't predict the winter.
Yeah.
Right. And we have consistently deficit spent our snow and ice. This year, however, that deficit was significant enough that we just simply couldn't cover it under the FY23, under the FY23 budget. There wasn't enough money in reserve in our FY23 to cover as large of a deficit as we had, which is why we're managing it through our free cash and town meeting.
Was that last big storm, that big storm of?
It was really a cumulative,
All the ice we got,
yeah, ice,
that's
yeah.
usually the killer.
Yeah,
The
right.
snow's not usually that bad because you just plow it and it's gone, but.
The it's the global, it's the warming trends that we've been seeing. I won't use the GW, but the warming trend that leads to a lot more freezing rain than you see snowfall. And it's that freezing rain that is so difficult to manage and requires an extreme amount of salt and sand. It's the product that really drives up that cost. That, and we've used contracted labor in order to get our streets clearer faster. We've brought in extra trucks, and obviously we've discussed in the past that we will not be doing that this year, since that is our one discretionary cost, is that contracted labor. So unless there's an extreme situation, it'll be our 4 highway guys, and hopefully with a facilities person, we'll be tackling the roads with the personnel we have on hand.
Thank you.
Article 2, this is to replace the rubber roof on the wastewater treatment facility at 16 Gardner Falls Road. We had hoped to get one last season out of that roof. It is the original roof from 1974. It has been patched and repaired and patched and repaired, but it is no longer holding, and the water is coming into the facility, and it's coming into the facility at points where there's the electrical panel in particular. So it's really not just a nuisance, but it is a safety issue. So we'll be seeking raise and appropriate from the user fees for the sewer district of $40,000. That will cover the cost of the replacement of the roof, and also to have the electrical panel and electrical system inspected, and any work that has to be done if there has been water damage. So that was also in accordance with our sewer agreement with the town of Shelburne, split 50-50 between the two communities. So the article is worded in such a way that Buckland will raise the full amount, and then we will seek the $20,000 back from the town of Shelburne to offset that cost to the Buckland users. Any questions on that one? No? Article 3 is the transfer of the care and custody and management of the former police station building at 69.5 Conway. As we discussed at our last meeting, the town meeting has to authorize the select board to move forward with any disposition of real property. This is the article that allows for that. I can share that this was a discussion at the Finance Committee meeting last night. That is a group that is somewhat split on the haste in which this article is moving forward. Some on the committee expressed enthusiasm, great job, get it done, let's see what the income potential for that building is. And then there were others on the committee that are hoping that if this article passes at town meeting, that the select board has a very thorough public inputs process. So I'm just sharing. I'm sure you'll hear from those members.
But it wasn't like they didn't want to relinquish the building. They just wanted to be a more thorough process.
There's just concerns about, it seemed to me, the haste in which, and I did explain that we've had several organizations come forward and express interest, that it is basically a vacant building, that it is only costing us money at this point in time, that heating it through the winter could be an unnecessary burden, and that there were good reasons to move it forward, but that ultimately it's a town meeting vote, and that I think that what I've heard from this group is that you're more than interested in hearing from people about how that process will work. But I said I'd pass it along, and so passing it along. So.
Right. Having toured the building a few times now,
Yeah.
we should be, yeah, I think it's a good idea what we're doing here.
Yes. Yes. And you still have to follow Chapter 30B. It isn't like you have sole discretion on how it gets disposed of. You have to go through the procurement process, and that's also a very public process. But I just offered that was a board, this generated quite a bit of discussion at last night's Finance Committee meeting. And then Articles 4 and 5 are both, Article 3 will be a 2/3 vote, because it is a disposition of real property. And as will Article 4 and 5, they will also be 2/3 vote, because they are both zoning. The first zoning article is a modification of the definition of the language for trailer, and it's meant to address campers and other vehicles that could possibly be misused, or you know, stays could be extended beyond what the intention of the town zoning might want. And then the last is the floodplain overlay district. The purpose of this bylaw is to strike the entire bylaw as it exists now and insert all new language. This article is about 6 pages long. It's quite wordy, but it is bringing our floodplain overlay up to date, and aligns us with the federal standards.
At town meeting, will the planning board, someone from explain?
Oh, yeah. And the planning board has had several public information sessions as well as the statutory public hearing. So there's been plenty of opportunity for individuals to come forward and have discussions about these bylaw changes. And that's, your bylaw amendment process is governed by Chapter 40B of the Mass General Laws, and it's very specific about the public input process.
Mm-hmm.
So that is your town meeting, warrant. I think it's articles that are prudent to bring forward at this time. Clearly, the first two are necessary financial issues that we don't want to wait till June, or wait till May.
I'll move to approve the warrant for the November 27th at 7 p.m. Here at the Town Hall.
Second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right. Documents to sign, looks like we have permits and licenses for Great River Hydro.
We're going to table that.
Okay.
It looks like they want to move forward with the full easement request, which would require town meeting. Only I'm not inclined to move forward because the granting of an easement on a building that you're also trying to dispose of may muddy the conversation more so than what we are prepared to. So we'll get through at least the initial phases of the police station disposition discussion, and then we can talk about an easement agreement for Great
They're
River.
involved with that. Are they interested?
They are.
Yeah,
They are
they talked
interested.
to us.
Yeah.
So why, they seem to be in kind of a rush to put this in, so they understand.
They've postponed that. So the reason for the easement is, if you're familiar with the rear of the police station parking lot area, that's also the entrance to the Great River Hydro facility. And they want to put a state-of-the-art card reader in for their employees to be able to access that property a little more securely than is currently provided. Yeah, exactly.
Being open all day.
But in order to put that card reader in, they have to have a little more square footage. When we initially purchased that property from, what was the name of the utility company at that time? Anyways, it was very much in the town's favor, the way they plotted the new lot. It comes in from basically the entrance to Cricket Field and just sort of cuts diagonally down to their gate, giving them the least amount of space to be able to access their own property. When they want to put this new gate system in, it would swing out now onto property that the town owns. And they also need some ballast for other safety purposes.
From what they explained, it was, I don't know why they did it that way, but the fence is actually on town property. And in the town property extends beyond there like at this triangle. So, yeah, I think it's better that we wait on this,
Yeah.
to see what's the
Yeah,
outcome.
yeah. So they postponed that project. They wanted to do it this fall before the ground froze, but they're realizing at this point that that's probably just not realistic, and they'll wait till spring.
Maybe they'll get a gate that slides and wheels, like they have those. And therefore, it doesn't impede upon anybody else's land. Just slides.
Oh, it's not that, it's not the gate opening, it's where they would put the post for the
But I'm
card
saying,
reader.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so you would go like in your car and you go, hey, and then you go in. I don't think the gate is changing.
Yeah, no, probably
It's
not.
fine.
But that's why we had hoped that we would be able to initiate a license agreement, which is something that the select board could approve, and it could be modified or revoked, or, changed as the property changes. But they're not interested in a license agreement at this time, so.
Alrighty. Minutes and warrants. Any minutes yet?
Do you see any on
I figured I'd ask. I thought maybe you'd surprise us.
that? And I did.
I think that knee is still sore.
That wasn't the problem.
We have the November 7th payroll warrant and vendor warrants. I did have a chance to look them over. They look good to me. Anything from you guys?
No.
All right. I'll move to approve both the payroll and vendor warrants for November 7th, 2023.
Second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Items not reasonably anticipated by a chair. I have nothing. Any select board member concerns? No. Town administrators report.
I don't have anything for you this evening.
All right. Any updates on any applicants?
We do have 2 applicants.
Okay.
I'd like to wait till the end of the week and see if we get any more, and then set up some interviews.
Applicants for what?
For the buildings and grounds position.
Oh, good, good.
Anything on the sewer?
Sadly, no.
All right.
I know. You do have a joint commissioners meeting tomorrow night.
Yep.
I'll be bringing forward a grant application for the pump station controls, to be able to do some work to that facility, and we can talk a little bit more about the recruitment process.
Sounds good.
Plan F.
All right. Public comment? None. All right. It's not on here, so kind of trying to think of it on the fly here because it didn't all get listed on the bottom.
Oh, well, because this is a special meeting, I didn't add all the extra.
Could be
Alright.
recognition of volunteers
That's
that
right.
she's stepping up. You already gave
Yeah.
it to her.
That's right.
so,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. Good job on the button clicking.
Yeah.
All right. If you have nothing further, I'll move to,
Good job on the button clicking.
I will move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Thank you, and have a good evening.
I wonder what day we'll finally not